Travis Scott has just been hit with another lawsuit from the family of a 14-year-old Astroworld victim. The family of John Hilger are devastated by the loss of their son, and so now they are wanting to hold Travis Scott accountable. According to a recent report, the family have filed a new lawsuit against Travis Scott, Live Nation, and other event organizers. The lawsuit filed in Houston made claims similar to the other lawsuits that we have told you about on this channel, mainly that Travis and the concert organizers failed to provide a safe environment for the fans in attendance. In addition to that, they also cited security failures, a lack of personnel, barriers, and emergency medical staff. In a statement to the press, John's father Chris said, "The pain of our loss from our son John not making it home alive from an event such as this is intolerable. He was a beautiful young man who simply wanted to enjoy his first concert event with friends, whom he treasured spending time with more than anything. If this lawsuit prevents even one family from having to go through the extreme pain and anguish that we have endured, then it is the least we can do to honor John's memory." The lawsuit was filed by attorney Richard Mithoff, and according to the suit, they are seeking $1 million in damages. The sad thing is that this new lawsuit is just one of the many that have been filed against Travis Scott and Live Nation. I mean, one filing is seeking $2 billion in damages, and another is asking for $750 million in damages. Plus, within just that one, there are hundreds of alleged victims, whether it involves physical injuries or mental. 14-year-old John Hilger was one of the 10 that lost their life at Astroworld, and with these lawsuits mounting up, authorities are under a lot of pressure to figure out what exactly happened here and who is to blame for all of this. A source close to Travis has repeatedly told the media that Scott had no idea the extent of what was going on in the crowd while he was performing. Plus, like we've told you before, with how medics were being split up during the show, there was an obvious breakdown in communication at some point. Plus, there was that weird video of the Houston police just casually filming the show right when they had previously declared that time frame to be when the mass casualty event took place. Apple Music also takes on some of the blame because of the way that the barriers were set up for the show. It was more to do with getting a good shot than the safety of the crowd. The crazy thing in this scenario is that everyone is pointing fingers. I mean, for a bunch of people that just put on a festival and work together, no one wants to be solely to blame here. Travis Scott's attorney went on the defensive pretty early and said, "It was reported that the operations plan designated that only the festival director and executive producers have authority to stop the show, neither of which is part of Travis's crew. This also runs afoul of HPD's own previous actions when it shut down the power and sound at this very festival when the performance ran over 5 minutes back in 2019. Live Nation seems to not be pointing any fingers here and then just giving reassurance that they will be continuing to assist authorities. In an earlier statement, the company said they will continue to support and assist local authorities in their ongoing investigation so that both the fans who attended and their families can get the answers they want and deserve, and we will address all legal matters at the appropriate time. And hopefully the families of the victims can get these answers soon." If you recall, we recently did a video about how Travis Scott was facing $750 million in lawsuits for Astroworld. Believe it or not, but now that number has now been added to a whopping $2 billion lawsuit. Yes, billion with a capital B. A Texas-based attorney has now filed a $2 billion lawsuit against Travis Scott, Live Nation, and other people that were involved in this tragedy. Attorney Thomas J. Henry filed the lawsuit, and the list of the defendants may be long, but the people that he was hired to represent is longer. The defendants listed in this suit include Travis Scott, Drake, Apple Music, and NRG Stadium, but on the other side, he is representing 282 Astroworld concert goers. In a statement to the press regarding this massive lawsuit, Henry said, "The defendants stood to make an exorbitant amount of money off of this event, and they still chose to cut corners, cut costs, and put attendees at risk." Adding, "My clients want to ensure the defendants are held responsible for their actions, and they want to send the message to all performers, event organizers, and promoters that what happened at Astroworld cannot happen again." Ever since filing this massive lawsuit, this attorney claims that an additional 120 people have reached out to him looking for representation in this case. After filing, Thomas did an interview with Hollywood Life and went into detail about some of the injuries that his clients are facing. His clients are understandably traumatized from having to step over the bodies of people that lost their lives during this festival, and then he adds, "They didn't have a choice because there was nowhere to move. These people were trapped. They couldn't breathe. They couldn't get out." This lawsuit also sheds some light on Apple Music's disastrous role in this festival. Henry alleges that Apple's obtaining of the festival's online streaming rights played a critical role in the crowd control disaster. The lawsuit goes on to say, "Early reports from the investigation of the Astroworld catastrophe indicate that the premises were arranged in a fashion that best served Apple's online streaming of the concert at the detriment to concert goer safety. However, Apple Music has yet to release any statement in regards to these allegations. investigations. Travis Scott is making sure to act fast though, and announced soon after that he would be paying for the funeral costs of the victims at Astroworld. However, with a $2 billion lawsuit on the table, I don't know how much of that he will personally have to fork up. He might not have the money to help pay for these funeral expenses. Live Nation and another promoter called Score More also released a statement on how they will be handling the next steps. On Twitter, they said, "We wanted to provide an update on the steps that Score More, Live Nation, and the Astroworld Fest team have been taking. Throughout the weekend, we have been working to provide local authorities with everything they need from us in order to complete their investigation and get everyone the answers they are looking for. Our staff has met with local authorities to provide information, and we have also provided them with all footage from our CCTV cameras. Loadout of the site and equipment is currently paused to give investigators the time they requested to walk and document the grounds. Full refunds are being offered for all those who purchased tickets, and most importantly, we are working on ways to support attendees, the families of victims, and staff, from providing mental health counseling to setting up a health fund to help with costs for medical expenses. Our entire team is mourning alongside the community." Also, just so we're clear, this $2 billion lawsuit is on top of the other $750 million that attorney Tony Busby is seeking for 125 other people that were also affected by this tragedy. We also had a statement from the CEO of Paradox, which was the medical company hired by Astroworld for the event. While speaking with CNN, the CEO Alex Pollock said, "This is something I'll have nightmares about for the rest of my life. The team is extremely broken up about it. Seeing so many young people getting CPR at one time is just something no one should have to go through. Even though we're medical professionals, we should be used to it. You can't get used to something like that." This was truly an impossible feat though. To have 11 people go into cardiac arrest at the same time would definitely give anyone nightmares, especially if it's your job to help them. I mean, who do you even choose to start with? Then on top of that, they said that the other concert goers did not make their job easy. Alex goes on to add, "We were doing CPR on the back of carts trying to get out of that crowd. People were jumping on top of the carts, they were pulling us off of people. They thought it was a joke." I could not even imagine what those working conditions must have felt like, and hopefully people are actually held accountable for this disaster. Well, it looks like we have some more bad news for Travis Scott today. After it was announced that he will be facing a $750 million lawsuit, I honestly don't know how he's going to recover from this. This massive $750 million lawsuit was brought forth by more than 125 fans and includes the family of one concert goer who lost their life at the festival. Within the lawsuit, various people are mentioned though. We have Travis Scott, Drake, Apple, and Live Nation all becoming the targets of this lawsuit. The suit was filed by a Houston attorney named Tony Busby and is just the first of the many legal troubles that are headed Travis Scott's way. This suit places the blame of what happened during Astroworld on Travis and concert organizers who are being accused of negligence and failing to properly plan for this concert, train security, and overall host a safe event. This seems like a lot of money, but this $750 million will be used to cover both physical and mental health injuries as well as the loss of life. Attorney Busby spoke with the press about this big new lawsuit and said, "No amount of money will ever make these plaintiffs whole. No amount of money can restore human life, but the damages sought in this case attempts to fix, help, or make up for the harms and losses suffered by these plaintiffs. Nothing more and nothing less." Now, almost immediately following the event, it was also reported that Travis and Live Nation offered refunds to concert goers, but the lawsuit suggested that this was a transparent and grotesque effort of the defendants to limit their liability after the fact. If you've been watching our updates, then you'll know that 10 people now have lost their lives as a result of the Astroworld tragedy, with the most recent victim being a 9-year-old boy. Law enforcement is still continuing their investigation into what exactly caused this mass casualty event, but many attendees claim that after a crowd surged to the front, people became trapped against barriers and on the ground. Travis Scott is still maintaining his defense that he did not understand the severity of the situation while he was performing. Not to mention, there were also several Houston police officers that were spotted near the front of the stage just calmly taking photos and videos of the performance right when the chaos started to happen. As I mentioned earlier, within this $750 million lawsuit are the details of what happened to concert goer 21-year-old Axel Acosta, who lost his life at the show. In a statement to the press, a member of Tony Busby's legal team said that Acosta's loss of life was needless and was the result of gross negligence. The attorney then alleges that Acosta had gone into cardiac arrest after being crushed by the crowd. They go on to say, "When Axel collapsed, he was trampled by those fighting to prevent themselves from being crushed. As he lay there under a mass of humanity dying, the music played and streamed on for almost 40 minutes. The complaint then goes on to add, "Axel Acosta loved and adored Travis Scott and the other performers at Astroworld. The feeling was not mutual. Certainly neither Travis Scott nor his exclusive partners, streaming service, record labels, handlers, entourage, managers, agents, hangers-on, promoters, organizers, or sponsors cared enough about Axel Acosta and the other concertgoers to make an even minimal effort to keep them safe." The real target of this lawsuit, though, are the people who stood to make a profit from Astroworld, which means Apple Music, Epic Records, and many other corporations are also going to be sharing the legal legal blame in a court of law. In addition to this massive lawsuit, there have also been 36 other lawsuits that have been filed against Travis Scott and the concert organizers.
A 9-year-old fan and his family are the latest people to take legal action against Travis Scott and the venue for his injuries at the Astroworld Festival. The boy is currently in a medically induced coma, fighting for his life, and his family is demanding $1 million in damages. The 9-year-old boy named Ezra Blount is currently in a medically induced coma after he was seriously injured at the Astroworld Festival. The boy's family is now suing Scott for gross negligence. Ezra was at the festival with his father Tristan. In the heat of the chaos at the event, Ezra's father Tristan had him on his shoulders for protection, but unfortunately Ezra was dropped to the ground after his father passed out from exhaustion. This led to damage to his lungs, kidneys, liver, heart, and brain. When Tristan awoke, he went to the medical tent and was told his son was admitted to the hospital due to his severe injury. Tristan started a GoFundMe page for support, which has now raised over $50,000. The lawsuit against Scott claims that he and concert organizers failed to enforce proper safety protocols or provide sufficient security staff for the event, which was attended by more than 50,000 people. Blount's family is blaming Travis and the festival for not stopping the concert for more than 40 minutes after the event was labeled a mass casualty event by police. Travis temporarily paused the music on 3 occasions, but never for more than a few moments. The lawsuit implicated Travis, Live Nation, Cactus Jack Records, and even Drake, who was performing with Scott on stage during the heat of the chaos. Lawyers believe the damages for the event will be in the billions of dollars. Tristan, Ezra's dad, is a huge Travis Scott fan and even has an Astroworld tattoo on his forearm, but now he wants answers and compensation for what happened to his son. Ezra's grandfather, Vernon Blount, told ABC 13, quote, "I've seen apologies online that didn't look so sincere from people who participated in the event. If you feel so bad, why don't you go to the hospital to check on your fans? Why would you keep letting concerts be this way and let people get injured? Nobody should get injured to make $1. Nobody should have to lose their child, their grandchild, to make $1. Safety should have been provided for their fans." Ezra's grandfather also revealed to media that the boy was injured so badly that he went into cardiac arrest at some point and is suffering brain damage. Vernon added, quote, "If the mayor said there was 500 policemen there, I didn't see 500 policemen. When the event said there was 700 security, I didn't see 700 security. I saw children running through their gates, that's what I saw." Travis has commented on the situation since the event and revealed that he will cover funeral costs of those who are deceased following the event. Since the tragedy, he has been hit with a slew of lawsuits from the victims' families as well as the injured. One lawsuit served yesterday involved 68 attendees who were at the event. Texas attorney Thomas J. Henry says that he is being contacted by more people by the hour. Following the event, it was reported that 8 people lost their lives, although yesterday a 9th person, a student named Bahardi Shahadi, has lost her life following the festival. She had been on a ventilator fighting for her life since the concert, but the 22-year-old student was just labeled brain dead by doctors.
This month will definitely be going down as the worst month ever for Travis Scott's career. After 50,000 people attended his Astroworld Festival, over 300 people were injured and 10 concert goers ended up losing their lives. After issuing his original statement on finding out the news after the concert ended, he then said that he would pay for the funeral expenses of the victims. Travis pretty much went into hiding after that though. He was spotted a few times on the phone pacing around his home in Houston, but for the most part he has remained out of sight. However, now it seems like in sync with Kylie posting to her Instagram stories, Travis is also coming back out into the public. According to TMZ, he was spotted in the Palm Springs area at a local golf course. Apparently he played a few rounds with Michael Jordan, Mark Wahlberg, and Kris Jenner's boyfriend Corey Campbell. The golf course is also rumored to be near Kris Jenner's gated community. A few snapshots from this celebrity hang were posted online, and even in these candid shots you can tell that this festival tragedy is looming over Travis. He just looks so deep in thought in most of these images, and I mean currently he has been hit with over 300 lawsuits, so yeah, that might distract anyone from having a good time. These lawsuits also include the ones that are seeking $750 million in damages, as well as the one that's going for $2 billion. However, included in a lot of those are also Drake, Live Nation, and Apple. Travis Scott's attorney Edwin F. McPherson also has been going to bat for Travis and said that there has been too much finger pointing. McPherson even took a shot at the Houston police chief for contradicting what he said. Scott's attorney tells the press, "There has been multiple finger pointing, much of which has been by city officials who have sent inconsistent messages and have backtracked from original statements. Houston Police Chief Troy Finner was quoted in the New York Times as saying, 'You cannot just close when you got 50,000 and over 50,000 individuals. We have to worry about rioting when you have a group that's that young.' Yet just a short time later, Chief Finner states the responsibility to stop the show falls on Travis. Travis apparently flew to Southern California to spend the Thanksgiving holiday with his family, including Kylie Jenner. Despite what Travis Scott's attorney said earlier though, as with many of these lawsuits, these put the blame on Travis and the festival organizers, especially for failing to take even the most basic of safety precautions. In one of the lawsuits it said says, defendants egregiously failed in their duty to protect the health, safety, and lives of those in attendance at the concert, including but not limited to the failure to provide adequate security personnel to implement crowd control measures, proper barricades, and the failure to provide a sufficient amount of emergency medical support. The tragedy at this event had been set into motion when SZA ended her show. People then began to rush over to the main stage area to catch Travis Scott's performance, in an area that was already jammed with a ton of people. The flow of more people coming in started to then increase pressure on the crowd, which left many people caught in the push towards the front of the stage. One concert goer who was caught in this rush and was actually pushed towards the South Quadrant told the press, "Once the crowd was moving, you were moving with it. You were at the mercy of the crowd pretty much. There was no way you would have been able to move around or keep yourself stable." Experts are now also saying that the layout of the barriers in the crowd were also to blame. Keith Still, a visiting professor at the University of Suffolk who specializes in crowd safety and crowd risk analysis, told the press, "In general, that's not a safe design because you can't regulate the number of people who are in a high pressure area." Travis Scott's attorney is also stating that the operations plan for Astroworld set plans for certain people to have the power to stop the concert. This included the festival director and executive producers. McPherson claimed that because Travis was heavily focused on his performance, he did not have the ability to actually see that his fans were being injured in the crowd. Scott's attorney then goes on to say, "It was reported that the operations plan designated that only the festival director and executive producers have authority to stop the show, neither of which is part of Travis's crew. This also runs afoul of HPD's own previous actions when it shut down the power and sound at this very festival when the performance ran over 5 minutes back in 2019, adding, "Investigations should start proceeding over finger pointing so that together we can identify exactly what transpired and how we can prevent anything like this from happening again." And while I certainly hope so.